We are the champions of the world. We are the champions, my friend.
Mate.
We are the champions. We are no room for losers. We are the champions of the world.
30 aluminium.
Friday, we are the champions of the world. It's unofficial. It will only be made official when the Oak from the Guinness Book of Records decides to make it official. But Loftus yesterday rocked on Heritage Day. We're taking Japan's record, baby. They should never have had it.
How did Japan
have the World Briar record?
No.
We're taking it. They turned out in their numbers at Loftus Versfeld in Pretoria. They couldn't turn out in their numbers on top of Table Mountain because some gusting wind arrived yesterday and basically blew us into 2026. That was cancelled. It's going to happen on Saturday. The big Castle Lager Heritage Day Braai is going to be on top of Table Mountain this Saturday. But in its absence in Devil's Peak, I took out the Camille Doorn Hout. I took out the choppies, the kebabs, the wors, the kastieltjies, the blitz, and I took on the challenge.
Mate, it was glorious to watch, mate. I loved those videos. The wind howling in the background. You looked like you were at sea on a ship.
I felt like I was at sea. I was manned out by about 4:30 in the afternoon. It was glorious, though. Oh, ice cold castles and some lacquer braai, and celebrating Heritage Day, kind of reminding ourselves of why we love being South Africans and just why we love living in this country. And I always say, blessed to be living in Cape Town, one of the great cities of the world, if not the greatest. And at the foot of the mountain, very, very blessed. I was waving to you over on that other wonderful side, Blouberg. And I thought for a moment that you would wave back. But when you saw the smoke going, hey, you knew the wigwam. You knew I'd started that braai.
The wigwam.
At one stage, I leaned forward. Okay, you'll have to like kind of pull me. I leaned forward and I thought, she's like, what the hell did you do? I misjudged the wind. It's like... So I felt
to go out, mate.
I felt a bit sick, but what a way to prepare for the return of the Castle Rugby Championship. It is South Africa against the Pumas in Durban, and obviously the early game, the playoff for third and fourth place, also known as the Bledisloe Cup, where the All Blacks will host the Wallabies at Eden Park in Auckland. But before we get there, we've just got to tell you that Castle Lager and the organisers are confident that that record has been broken. But as per red tape officialese, it now goes off to the UK. Videos get sent. Auditors are involved before they can officially declare South Africa the greatest braai nation in the world, officially the holder of the biggest braai in one location. And the next record we'll be going for, I'm sure, will be the simultaneous one. Millions braai. Because what are we about as South Africans? We're about a chop, a dop,
and a world title.
World no!
Mate, if there's a world title available, we're up for it no matter what. So you start throwing a little bit of meat and a little bit of wood into the mix there, and Brandewijn and who knows what else, mate. And I'm sure all South Africans are going to be interested.
Yeah, and I just want to say to Macron, thanks for the lacquer new kit we're getting, me and Zelzy. Thanks to Rassie and the boys.
Yep.
It's Rassie Peterson for arranging it for us. We'll be coming in nice colors for the next couple of months. So that's cool. So quality outfit on yesterday and also a quality braai. And for those who want to know, yes, the braai was up to scratch. Everyone loved it. All two of us. It's like, were you Brian for Gil?
Singed beard hair in the meat.
Basically that, yeah. We are talking about rugby. We are talking rugby championship. And this is brought to you by multi-award winning auto and general insurance. Never not there.
It's all happening, mate.
And it's all happening. It's all happening. And you can be part of that conversation. You go on to Auto and General's Facebook page, Insta page. You like it and you can win a Boks Test jersey. Durban, it hasn't always been a happy hunting ground for the Boks.
Indeed.
It's a bit like, it's not quite as bad as Wellington for the All Blacks in these last 10 years. But teams have gone to Durban and actually won. Robbie Deans' Wallabies took 53-8 at Ellis Park, and they went and beat us 27-15 a week later in Durban. Sterling Mortlock's last kick, Nick Mallett's last testing charge, 18-16. We played so well to be ahead. We had beaten the All Blacks 46-40 the week before that in a great game. And a corner quicker, hands in, release. Too late. Sterling Mortlock from the corner, 19-18 in Durban. The Wallabies, I think one of the only times George Gregan and them actually won in South Africa. And then in 2015, our Pumas came to South Africa. 37-25, they beat us. It's the only time in 18 previous tests that they have won in South Africa. And they're back in Durban, but I don't think it's going to be a Los Pumas win. I think it's going to be a Springbok win and a great game, and I think it's going to be fairly comfortable. And this segment, as always, was powered by Auto and General Insurance, backing champions since 1985, licensed non-life insurer and FSP, T's and C's online.
Is that our outro?
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in. Mate, I sincerely hope you're right. I think you're right. I have a similar feeling. I think the Boks are inspired. I think at the moment that last result has given them some impetus, massive boost in confidence. And I think the competition for places is going to bring the best out of everybody involved. And obviously, we've had a few injury-enforced changes. But yeah, I think the Boks are in a good space now. And I'm expecting them to come out and play some great rugby. Pretty much what we saw at the beginning of that Wellington test. With Sasha back at 10, I think the combinations there are going to be good. But I do think there is an X factor to this game. The variable is the conditions. Durban is a particular place to play, and the conditions of Durban are pretty unique, I would say, in the world of rugby venues, with the humidity and the ball being slippery and. And I don't think Kings Park strikes the most fear into opposing teams, specifically Argentina. You mentioned that historic result there, and they are definitely on the up. So I think the key to that outcome that you mentioned, the Boks winning in a high-scoring game and a fun game, is that the Boks control the game from the beginning. I think if Argentina gets a sniff, it could be an interesting afternoon.
Okay, but you talk, is the humidity in this time of the year
Apparently so,
in
mate.
Durban?
Apparently so.
I mean, this is in February and Jan and March.
Mate, Jean de Villiers played there from January to December, and every time after the game, he said, it was slippery, mate. The ball was slippery. The pill was slippery.
What I will tell you, then, I'm glad that the Castle Lager took the biggest Brian 1 venue to Pretoria, the Cathedral, the home of Springbok Rugby. But if they didn't get that record, they could have just taken it to Durban. Because that B-field,
Correct.
Kings Park,
Yeah.
is certainly going to break records there as well.
No, for
Those
sure.
braais are going
Rovers
all
is gonna
night,
be singing.
all night, and there'll be more than 6-1 to a braai there. Looking at the Bok team, we spoke earlier in the week, and you said if it was you would primarily go with the same side that started against New Zealand in the 43-10 win. You don't know what Rice is going to do, but you think back them again, and he went and did that. 2 enforced changes in his run on 15, lured out, not a bad replacement, Eben Etzebeth to start, and in the backs, Fassiad, Damian Willemse to 15, and not a bad replacement to 12, Damien Dialandi, arguably our best 12 since our return to international rugby. The rest he's picked as is, and that is very rare for Dr. Erasmus to do.
It is, mate. It is. He surprised me by doing the obvious. So, fantastic. I mean, I like it. I think it's great. I think it's the way to go. And he's come out and said that, you know, the Boks are out there to try and win the rugby championship, which is encouraging to hear that is a primary focus. And I'm excited about these combinations. Things got a bit messed up with Sasha having to go off early. So I think hopefully he gets a longer start there. Keen to see how he meshes with Kobus Reinach and with Dukes. And Kanan Moody at 13. It's a very exciting backline. But the real story there is the pack. I mean, Wilco Lowe coming off the bench and absolutely destroying opposing scrums is kind of a closer. It kind of forces the other team to have a lead at halftime, or else you've got no chance of winning this thing. So very interested to see how we go there. Irby back obviously is a huge boost to the pack. And it's exciting.
Yeah, and I mean, SA Rugby Mag, I see you guys ran a lovely piece at the press conference that Wilco did, saying Thomas du Toit's mobility is better than his. That's why he does start at the moment. He just gets a chance to come in, improve on aspects of his game. So they're all saying the right things. They're talking about a match 23. They're talking about starters and finishers, not a first and a second choice at all. And it's like, do they get the result? Do they get the 5 points and turn the 4th of October, Twickenham, into a Castle Rugby Championship finale? While the other guys go off and play for 3rd and 4th again. So the guys from down south, Australia and New Zealand. What I've enjoyed about this selection is that he's been upfront about the combinations worked. He wants to give another gap. If there had been no injuries, there would have been no changes, and that would have been a rarity in world rugby. A rarity, obviously, since Russie's taken charge, as he does on average, change 9-10 players in a match 23.
Yep.
Wonderful that Kane Moody's been given another crack at 13, and also outside Damien Delandi. Andre the Giant on the bench to add some punch. The option also of Damien Willemse going to 12 if needs be. Sasha potentially to 15, Marnie on to 10. So he's got some nice options there as well. And then in the pack, I mean, Eben coming back is colossal. Our most capped test player ever. He does add something. He adds grunt. But I think it's also we've seen the managing of those senior players and the lessening of their game time, where they were putting 65 minutes and now putting in 45, 42 minutes. And I think he wants to get it to a point where can he actually do a 40-40 shift with players and actually lose nothing.
Yeah. No, I think that is definitely on the radar. One way to bleed in younger guys and to see how they perform is to give them more time. And if they're on the bench, you know, yanking the guy who started a little bit earlier than you might usually do is an opportunity to give that guy more match minutes. I'm not sure how much of that is managing their time because of their age, because with the rotation in the squad, there generally hasn't been anybody that's been played into the ground, but that may be a factor. I'd be interested to see whether that is the real reason, because I think we're at the point already where a guy, because of his age, we're trying to manage his minutes in games, then maybe he shouldn't be playing that game, you know? When you play him, you want him to be able to go for 80, even if your plan is to take him off after 60. But just looking at this match, I think it's a great lineup from the Boks. I mean, it's hell of exciting. As always is the case with this particular squad, the guys who aren't included are almost as exciting as the guys who are included. Interesting that he went with Dukes again, brought Dukes back at 12 and kept Andre on the bench and didn't sort of go with the public opinion or popular choice of having Andre at 12. I thought that was quite interesting. And then Damien back to fullback. It would have been great to see him get an extended run at 12, but obviously he's done a few things at fullback before and people trust him, and deadly on sort of counter-attack transitions. So the Boks are well stocked.
Don't you think the bringing back of Dukes in a way is very much about giving Sasha a lot more comfort that he's got one of the most experienced 12s in world rugby outside of him, not necessarily a 12, is still trying to break into that role. Even though Andre Esterhuizen has been around since 2018, he was part of Russie's first ever squads. He hasn't broken in as a regular at 12. He's become like this hybrid component now, the first rugby all-rounder. But like the backs of Kwagga Smith can play in the backs, and now he can play in the forwards. And as he says, it's a lot harder training with the forwards than the backs, says Andre Esterhuizen. But I think that's more to settle Sasha a bit, having Damien Delandi next to him. And I think on Sasha, we know we call him a generational talent. When he's on, he's just magical. But I think the key for him is to try and get game time, because he does. John de Villiers was a bit like this in the start of his career. The rugby guards find ways to injure these guys.
Yeah.
And, I mean, he's physical, so he goes in for every tackle. He's a bit like a Johnny Wilkinson.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
And Dan Carter in the early years, they were 10s who tackled and didn't mind tackling. And it's just in his DNA, it's in his nature to be physical, to be aggressive. But his body, it's a young body, and he's up against some big heavies. So I want to see him potentially get an hour at 10 and then get 80 minutes in the game and actually just start a game and finish a game, both for the Springboks and later on in the 25-26 season for the Stormers as well. So a big one for him.
No, I think with Sasha, like if you're a loose forward, a test caliber loose forward, you've probably got 100 bullets to shoot. You can kind of shoot every time you want to on the field. But if you're a fly-off and your sort of fine skills are what the team is relying on to control the game and manage the game, you've probably got a 6-shooter. You got a revolver with 6 bullets in it. You got to choose your battles. You got to decide when you're going to pull the trigger. You can't be flying into every single contact point like it's the World Cup final, because it kind of puts the expiration date on your career a lot earlier. So, and I think that's something that comes with age. You mentioned Johnny Wilkinson. He was a missile at the beginning, getting stuck in like a loose forward, like a 12. And I think with time, and again, once youngsters learn they're not bulletproof, they become a bit more circumspect around the whole contacting. So nobody can question his bravery, same as Damian Willemse, 2 Oaks that are absolutely fearless, but you just kind of want them to choose their battles and, just to prolong their career, and hopefully also see more of them in the game, get them to that 80-minute mark, like you said.
And then you look at our depth again, and we keep on talking about it. He basically made 10 changes, went down by a score in Auckland. A test match that they were good enough to win. They didn't after a poor start, and then absolutely demolished the All Blacks in the last 30, like no one has ever done before in New Zealand. And he did that with effectively 2 different starting 15s. Now, when I look at what still has to come back into that team, the Pollards of the world, the Jesse Creels, the Kurtley Orenses, the Fussies, you look in the pack as well. You get Lurt back. How much has So still got in his legs? Cam Honeycombs are on the fringes. There is just some potency around. He's always said you need 40-odd players, but there's some potency around the 23 he could put out
Spot on.
over the next 2 years if everyone is match fit.
Yeah, 100%. And the guy you didn't mention there who's on the bench in this game is Krappy, obviously Morne van den Berg. I'm very excited about him. I think he's got long legs for the Springbok team and going to the next World Cup. I think he's a pretty close like-for-like replacement for what Faf offered. And obviously plays for a Lions team that is all about speed and passing. So he may be the sort of hybrid between the all-out speed attack and where we came from, which is the defense and the kicking. So I'm very excited to see him get a run off the bench as well. But just talent from top to bottom. And like you say, the guys that aren't in there, you could build another team with those guys and probably give these guys a run as well.
You surprised no Bongi for the Durban?
Yeah, I am surprised. I mean, Bongi Mbonambi may be in the latter stages of his career, but there were times in his career where I thought he was the best hooker in the world. Maybe he's dealing with a niggle. Maybe he's recovered from an injury and there's a conditioning aspect to it. I don't know, but massively experienced player. And I'm not saying that I'm shocked that he's not in the squad, but I am surprised that we've seen so little of him this season, as much as I am fully invested in the Boks, getting the young blood through, and let's have a look at what our options are so we can make educated decisions. I thought Bongi would feature somewhere in these games, and maybe it's next week. Russie's already kind of hinted that there'll be changes for the final Rugby Championship match at Twickenham. Maybe Bongi's already on his way to London. Who knows?
If you look at this Boks squad, we know what they can do. The Pumas, Los Pumas, they're a bit to me like the Cheetahs. If you come from Bloemfontein in South Africa, you love the Cheetahs. If you come from any other province, you love the Cheetahs as your second best team.
Yeah.
Los Pumas, if you're from Argentina, you obviously love them. But all around the world, they seem to be everyone else's second favorite team. It's the Messi effect, I think. Maybe a different code. Not important. But there's always been this thing of this romance with the Pumas, which was kind of a weird thing because the way they played up until 10 years ago, there was nothing romantic about it. They were like a good traditional South African side, big units up front, a great kicking 10. You go back to the days of Hugo Porter. Remember, he still played for the Jaguares, had that famous win against the Boks, 21-12. I think he scored all 21 points. That was after they took 50 as well, the week before that. Just a wonderful, wonderful exponent at 10. He could do everything. And then as the game has evolved in the last probably 6-7 years, and they've done well. They got to the 2007 World Cup semi-final. Lafredo was the coach, but they tried to change the game. They're in a semi-final against the Boks. I remember Jake telling me that the first time they got the ball in the first few minutes of that game, Eddie Jones looked at him and said, "No, we'll win the semi-final." They were playing 2 out, which they'd never done before, to try and take the game away from a contest at that first one-off runners. And He said they've just gone against their DNA to actually try and beat us. And they threw 2 intercept passes. Brian Abana Farida Prairie Electric, JP Peterson was good that night. Monty kicked everything. 34-13 was the win. Then we played them in the 2015 World Cup third and fourth playoff. We won quite comfortably. I think it was 24-8. And they made the 2023 semi-finals, got pumped by New Zealand. Good wins along the way. So they're a side that can get to semi-final. I mean, they've done far better than Ireland has ever done when it comes to World Cups. But they've never been as consistent within the context of tournaments, within the context of a rugby championship. And then you look at this season, their full-strength side beat the British and Irish Lions in Dublin. Then they lose at home 2-0 to an England side missing 12 Lions. And then they get pumped by the All Blacks, turn around and smash the All Blacks the next week, far more convincing than the 29-23 scoreline in their favour. They go to Australia. They lose it in the 84th minute, a test they should never have lost. And they're not comfortable winners, even though it's 28-26. They were up 28-6 at one stage. And now they come to South Africa. Last season, they beat New Zealand in New Zealand, 38 points at Wellington, that 38-30 game. They beat Australia 67-27, having been 27 all at one stage. They scored 40 points in the last 25 minutes of that test match. And they beat the Boks by a point. It came down to Manie Lebok missing a kick, but then they came here and got destroyed, 48-7 in Elspray. So they have knocked over everyone in the last 2 years. They're a team to be reckoned with. Have they got that consistency, and do they have the belief to come to South Africa and actually beat the Boks?
Absolutely, mate. 100% I believe they do. I think for Argentina, the key in this game is going to be how they handle the discipline issue, because the Boks are going to come at them route one. It's going to be a physical confrontation, especially up front, and how they respond to that. If that pressure and that contest brings their dark side out and they concede a lot of penalties, I think they're going to put the game directly into the Boks' hands, and the Boks are going to be on the right side of the field, and their set piece is going to be in launch mode. So the key for them is to be able to physically front up to the Boks, which I think the parity between the two packs is probably the closest it's ever been. And I don't say that because the Boks have got worse per se, but I think Argentina have remained a physical team, and the Boks have pushed into an era of, can we move our forwards around to support a wider game? I don't think we're going to be at our most concentrated and lethal and brutal up front as we have been in the past. And we're going to have to rediscover that on quite short notice to handle an Argentina team that's going to come and test us in that department. And so I think key there is a discipline issue. What's happened with Pumas, in my opinion, over the last decade or so is they've unlocked their backs. They used to be a team where the forwards controlled all the ball, had all the ball, and the backs were pretty much an afterthought there to make tackles. Their outside backs and their counter-attack has become lethal. At Malia at fullback, they've had a string of deadly finishes, Bafeli and you've got Dalgi there now. Lots of guys that can chop you, clever playmakers, and they've got depth there between Albanos and Carreras. They've got two great playmakers, so they can cut you. But again, it all comes down to, can their forwards trade punches with the Springboks without conceding a high rate of penalties? And that's where Angus Gardner comes into the picture. He's the ref this week. It'll be the 12th time he's refed us. In 11 previous games, we lost 5 of them. He only refed us once against Argentina. We lost that game in Mendoza. So handling Angus Gardner is going to be key for both teams, I think, in this match.
That's a fascinating statistic, eh? Stuart Dickinson used to hate us back in the 90s, Australian referee. Angus Gardner's never forgotten the 36-point email that Rassie sent World Rugby after that defeat.
Yeah.
In Mendoza.
Isn't it him that pulled out of the game? He was supposed to referee a game and he was like, no, I can't do it or something.
Yeah, he pulled out of one last year.
Ooh, matey.
So, good thing we aren't sending him to Ellis Park. Wow. That could take 10 points off my prediction. I didn't realize it was Angus Gardner. Joel Jutke. He's right. That certainly does change the complexion of everything. For the punters out
Do
there.
you want to start this show over, mate?
For the punters out there, just know it could be tougher than I thought. Looking at the Pumas, and I did a column for the Sunday Times last Sunday, and then a piece around Argentina for their readers, like, because we always talk Wallabies, All Blacks in this country, where do they sit? And also quite educational for myself as well. I had to dig deep into your knowledge of Argentinian rugby, and obviously culturally, your knowledge being riche. But Felipe Contepomi, the coach, former captain, he played in the 2007 World Cup at centre with his identical twin brother. He's one of 12 siblings. His dad's a surgeon in Buenos Aires. Started his professional career at Bristol. They got relegated. He played 60 games for them. He went to Leinster 2003 to 2009. He played 116 games for Leinster. Inspired them to many a back then Pro 14 title. Some famous wins in the Investing Champions Cup, if not the title back then. Unfortunately, ended his career on a stretcher there. Tore his knee ligaments and was carried off. But in that time, he went to the Royal Surgeon School and got his medical degrees and started practicing at Beaumont Hospital as a surgeon, and spoke about the correlation between rugby and being a surgeon, the discipline that's required, the room for error. There is no room for error. The margins are small, and said it's the best decision he ever made in his life to pursue a career outside of rugby. Then retired in 2013, immediately transitioned into coaching. He had just gone home to finish out his career, play one season in Buenos Aires. Went into the coaching structures, went to Leinster 2018 to 2022. He was their backs coach. And then obviously into the Argentinian setup under Shaker, and then got the head coaching job and has transformed it. And has brought this incredible balance of understanding the DNA of Argentinian rugby, but also being schooled primarily as a player and a coach in the Leinster Irish model. And so you've seen a lot of that Irish type technical brilliance and very clever rugby with Argentinian backs, the angles that they run in, the kind of their processes, as they call them, that he's got them to buy into, that they're not just a team that plays on pure power and raw emotion anymore. They are technically one of the best teams in the world. And I would say that their backs have the best attack in the Rugby Championship, if not in world rugby at the moment.
I think it's a good shot, mate. I mean, they are incisive, they're deadly, they're physical, they got great finishing instincts, good skills. Their backs are pretty close to the complete package. There isn't like a specific, skill set with those guys that you say, oh, well, it's this individual player creates opportunities. They're just across the park. They're all overachievers. They've got speed, they've got grit, and they've got the skills to back it up. So if you give these guys a sniff, they are going to be a problem. That's why you have to control the game from the beginning. If you can get them having to operate off back foot ball or neutral ball, that's a great space to be. If these guys start rolling downhill on you, it could be a long day.
And also, that's Rassi's an honorary doctor, Dr. Erasmussen, but this guy's a surgeon. He's Dr. Contepomi.
This is like an ER ball.
This is the battle of doctors, man. Different types of doctors, but the battle of doctors. But a lot of respect from Rassi towards him, a lot of respect within the Bok coaching structure towards what this Argentinian coaching team has done. They're also youthful. He's 48 years old, Conteponi, a young man in that job. But there is a difference just in mentality about these guys. I think that's why last year's 48-7 defeat in Nelspruit was one, kudos to the Boks for the way they came out and won. But also, I think one, they really irritated him because he didn't feel his team fronted for which was effectively a final. And the talk from out of Buenos Aires has been that they've come to play.
Well, that's encouraging.
They've come to play, to quote one Andre Markov.
Yeah.
Will the occasion be too big for them?
No, I don't think so. And that's what makes these guys such a problem, is they're not like prima donnas, these guys. They're just hardworking, blue-collar oaks. That's the vibe you get from this team. And they're not shy to sort of roll up their sleeves and get stuck in. And I think, if anything, they kind of need to scale back on that, just to be a little bit more brains and a little bit less brawn this weekend. But they could be a real problem. The anomaly of the referee and the conditions in Durban, and the Boks coming off their most epic victory. I mean, you saw what happened to Argentina after their biggest win against the All Blacks. They struggled against Australia. It was close, but they lost. And then they've kind of bounced back. There's more continuity to the games. There are still these shock defeats, like they lost to England, but they're kind of bouncing back faster. It's not 4 bad games in a row. So I think Argentina have got a shot in this. I'm not picking them to win, but I think if...
You better not.
I think if somebody rolls the dice, there's a chance these guys could...
Well, Angus Gardner's the guy's got to roll with everything, okay? Any chance of him pulling out from the game. So Bok Rugby discussion. We know how big it gets on SA Rugby Magazine's Facebook page, on the Insta account, on the X feeds. Straight after the game, you can be part of that conversation where you can also vote for your MVP, your player MVP of the game, and be part of that conversation. If you do visit Auto in General's Facebook page and Insta page and give it a like, you'll also go in and have a chance to win a prize, which is a Springbok Test jersey. Test rugby in Durban. You've got to give me a score, and I'm going to give you my score.
You want me to go first?
Yes, please.
Boks by 10, Boks 30, Argentina 20.
I was going to say Boks by many more than that, but I've now reined it in because you tell me Angus Gardner. Mr. Gardner will be there. So I'm going to go with Boks 37, Los Pumas 25. It's going to be the 2000.
That's a glorious game.
Score, but reversed. So, yes, Boks by 10 plus 2.
That's maths.
All right. There's a third and fourth playoff game in the Rugby
You
Championship.
mentioned that, mates.
It used to be 7th and 8th in the World Cup. And now it's 3rd and 4th. Nice to see that the Bledisloe Cup still has some meaning over there.
Yeah.
Given only one team won it for 20
parts
years.
of New Zealand. Yeah.
Eddie Jones say?
Yeah.
We haven't won it for 20-odd years and there's 2 teams in it.
That's not, doesn't add up.
It's not good math.
Probability is not good.
It's not good math. Few changes for the All Blacks, few changes for the Wallabies. It's Eden Park. It's all talk of can they defend the fortress again and make it 52 in a row and 21 in a row against the Wallabies? Or is it a case that no one beats the Wallabies 21 times in a row at one ground?
No, mate. It's the former, not the latter. The All Blacks will be good. They will bounce back and they will beat the Wallabies. I think it may be quite convincing. As much as I've been pro-Wallabies, I think the Wallabies have been living beyond their means for a little bit this season, and I think there's a little bit of a reset for them, and I think the All Blacks have to respond. I mean, the whole country is teetering on the brink of sinking. So I think the All Blacks respond. I'm not super excited about parts of their team, but the return of Cam Roygaard and Cortez Ratema on the bench, I think the All Blacks are going to be good for a relatively convincing win.
Are they good enough to respond, Zels? That's the question.
That is the question.
Is hulle goed genoeg?
That's not good enough, mate. They're the All Blacks.
Is hierdie New Zealand se span goed genoeg
To beat Australia.
om Australië te wen op Eden Park? The
Yeah.
fact that we're even asking that question
Exactly.
shows you, for those who don't understand Afrikaans, I was asking, are they good enough to beat Wallabies at Eden Park in Auckland? The fact that we're asking that question shows the crisis that has been inflicted on New Zealand rugby through the green and gold mean machine called the Springboks.
Truth. And it's a very sad state of affairs for them, mate. And actually, the rest of the world rugby needs to get their act together. Aside from France and Argentina, it's not good enough, mate. Pick it up.
Pick up what?
I don't know. They just need to get better.
I don't know if they can. They will come back. Like I said, by 2027, when they finally say, we need to pick a few of these oaks that are overseas.
Yeah.
Especially one, Richie Moore.
Yeah.
Apparently it is pronounced like that as well. Just before Elk started ragging me and ripping me to shreds like they like to do. They will get better. And I've said that. I mean, they're too good not to get better. But when I look at this current group of players, I don't know if he's picking the right players in the style that he wants to play. I just thought there would be some more oomph added to Billy Proctor. Has not quite done it. We've spoken about Geordie Barrett. He may be a great 12, but is he the right 12 for them? Cam Roygaard will add punch to them at 9. I don't know if they got their back 3 right yet. And then there are limitations within their pack. I mean, Scott Barrett's out injured. Fabian Holland comes in. It's the core of the side that got blitzed.
It absolutely is.
It's the core of the side that got blitzed in Buenos Aires.
Yeah.
So it's like these are what Scott Robertson believes to be his best players, and they're just not good enough.
They're just not good enough, mate. It's a bit like a house of cards, man. Once it crumbles, you can't try and repair it. You just need to start all over again. And I think with Razor, he's picking the team to the plan that he would have had if he'd been appointed after the 2019 World Cup, I think. You know, he's kind of trying to play the rugby that he wants to, the vision that he has, but he just doesn't have the cattle for that now. And I think the All Blacks need to get far simpler, far more conservative, not forever, but just as a rebuilding foundation. Just go back to the drawing board, keep it simple, win your scrum, win your line out, go forward, and then we can start adding the pieces on. But right now, you're trying to fly with guys that they can't. They're still in nappy. Some of these guys, you just can't do it.
But this Super Rugby is not Test Rugby.
No, mate.
URC Rugby is
That's a good
closer
point.
to Test Rugby.
Yeah.
Okay. Super Rugby is not Test Rugby. It's never been the case. And we've seen that a lot now with the All Blacks. And Scott Robinson has kind of taken the Super Rugby model and tried to play Test Rugby. And there's too many good teams at Test Rugby to kind of combat that and counter that. At Super Rugby level, he maybe had the odd game against the Chiefs or occasionally against the Brumbies. And that was it. The Blues on occasion. And then they would wallop teams 55-25, 55-35. Here it's not the case. Here you're up against a France, an England, a South Africa, an improving Australia, and Argentina. That's 5 teams already. They are there every match. There's no guarantee New Zealand will win those matches, home or away.
Totally.
And that has never been the case with the All Blacks. Well, not since the game turned professional, really.
Yeah.
So
if this All Blacks team had Jerome Kano, a Brad Thorne, and a nooo, he could play the game that he wants to play. But he doesn't have any of those 3 players, and he doesn't have any like for those 3 players.
And a Dan Carter.
I mean, yeah. But I mean, look, he's got...
And a Richie McCaw.
He's got Richie Mo'unga, potentially. He's got Bowden, but he's got guys there. But I'm just saying the physicality of this team is lacking. That they can't control the collisions like they used to when they had those guys. And I think that's a big issue for them because they're trying to play rugby without momentum.
And the Joe Smith factor, there doesn't seem to be much love lost between Joe and Razor.
It's ageism, mate. It's ageism.
If you read Fozzie's book, Joe has...
How would you?
Joe, well, exactly. Who reads the book of a loser? Oh, I lost the World Cup. Wait, Ian Foster. Classic. Leading under pressure.
Yeah.
But Joe wasn't complimentary of Razor. He felt he was a bit deceitful, underhanded, and that he forced New Zealand to make the call to get rid of Ian Foster, and that's why he couldn't work with Razor Robertson. Razor's response this week was, Joe's a good rugby man. I just got to trust the process. He's done wonders with Australia. He's got 2 more tests to go, and then Les Kiss takes over. Just when he's getting it right, he's got to go and help New Zealand out again.
Yeah.
So he'll be back in New Zealand, and who knows? He may even be the coach.
Wow.
Imagine that.
That'd be an
Smith
interesting
comes
story.
back
Wow.
and he coaches the All Blacks in 2027 because Razors dropped a few more games.
Wow.
That'd be great,
insane, eh? Yeah. But yeah, he has done a great job with the Wallabies, turning them around and on very short notice. And in a way, I mean, obviously, it's sad to see him have to go as much as we like Les Kiss. He's done good stuff with Australia, and it would be good for the state of the game to have the Wallabies sustain this level of play.
Just keep on talking, mate. I got to just find a piece of a column I wrote when I thought it was quite magnificent.
Are we still talking Springboks? Do you want to get into the URC?
No. We're still talking Springboks, mate. I just want to call up a column that I wrote on the blog. So keep on talking, mate. Tell me what you think about Fraser McRae. Tell me what you think about the Wallabies.
Well, there are some good components to that Wallabies team, mate. You know, I'm a huge fan of that back row. And a bloke we haven't mentioned is Salakai. Sorry, is it Salakai?
Huh?
Salakai Lotto, yeah. Lakan Salakai Lotto.
Mate, yeah.
Big second rower, brutish, physical, in the Will Skelton mode, but probably more mobility. I think he's a great player, great prospect for the Wallabies. He'll definitely add punch to that pack, mate. And we like their back row, even though they're missing Valentini, still a good back row. And then Taniela Tupou gets another chance at tight head prop to prove that he can play 80 minutes or at least 55 and continue to dominate without pulling a calf muscle. So couple of changes at halfback for them. Tate McDermott is in. No space for Jake Gordon as Ryan Lonergan has been put on the bench, mate, and I think he's going to make his debut off that bench. And then obviously James O'Connor starts at fly half for Australia, mate. So he gets another run. He's back in the mix. And Tane Edmund is on the bench. So still no Tom Wright. So obviously their probability of success goes down significantly without Tom Wright. Max Jorgensen at fullback, interesting selection. I think he's been one of their better finishers on the wing. So to move him is quite a bold choice. But Andy Kellaway is not available through injury. So still got Big Joe at outside centre. And then you've got the magic of Harry Potter on the right wing, mate. So the Wallabies have got an interesting team. I just think that the timing is wrong in this, and the All Blacks are going to be ready to die to win this one and defend that record. There's a lot at stake, and I think there's probably more at stake for the All Blacks in this one.
Yeah. Any team who arrives at Eden Park with Harry Potter has got to be given a chance. to create some magic.
Correct.
I had to say that. Now, it took me a long time because the internet is very slow here in the center of Cape Town, in the city center. A column that I wrote for the Sunday Times about the lauding Felipe Contaponi and then asking questions about Scott Robinson. And this is what I wrote. Robinson, coach of the Crusaders in 7 successive Super Title wins, was the popular choice for the All Blacks, and all the fanfare was about his appointment. The narrative around Robinson was one of innovation and inspiration, and how he would transform the All Blacks and give the world of Test rugby an All Blacks team seemingly from another planet in the way they play. But it is Contaponi who has produced the sparkle and transformed the team, while Robinson has overseen an All Black squad struggling for identity and playing with more indifference than inspiration.
Oh, beautiful, mate.
That said, All Blacks will win by 10.
I've got the same trade as me.
I've got them to win 35-25.
Okay, yeah. So I've got them to win by 12 points. So I had them at 32-20, but fine. That's great.
So you've got a 30-20 and a 32.
Yeah. 32-20 and 30-20.
And I've got a 37-25 and a 35-25. A lot of 25s, eh?
We're great weekend of rugby, mate.
What day is it today? The 25th. Yeah.
What does it all mean, Basil?
What is it? I don't know. Well, I do know Angus Gardner's in charge, and that's not good news for us. So it's 6 wins out of 11 with Angus Gardner. And the only time he's refereed Argentina
In Mendoza, we lost.
and South
Convincingly,
Africa.
mate.
Yeah, that was in 2018.
They scored 4 tries, mate.
But we did go on to beat the All Blacks that season as well. They pumped us. I think they were something like 39-7 ahead at some stage.
Yeah.
And we came back with 2 late tries. Angus Gardner.
And that team,
Nou vertel jy vir my 'n ding.
Malcolm Marx was in that team, Evan Etzebeth, Sia Kolisi, Andre Esterhazen, Peter Steph de Toy, Ergius Snyman, Wilco Lowe, Damien Willemse.
And what was their end score there, mate?
It was 32-19, mate.
32-9. They were 32-7 up at one stage, and we got 2 late ones. 32-9, and they bullied us that day.
They scored 4 tries.
It's not going to happen.
And kicked a drop goal, mate. That's just rubbing it in our face.
That was unacceptable
In
behaviour.
our face of it.
Okay, we have the Boks to win. We have the All Blacks to win. That's Castle Rugby Championship time. We also have a couple of giveaways. Mike Greenway, our mate, based in Durban, wonderful rugby writer for the Mercury, for the Sunday Tribune, for anything that is independent newspapers in KZN. Gringo is the man. He's written 2 incredible books, Bok to Bok and The Fireside Bok. I mean, Zels, you've got them. It's just quality of production. Geez, so they really are collector's items, eh?
Mate, I mean, before we even get into reading what's in those books, just having those books on your coffee table, I think, raises the value of your property by about 10%. The production quality on those books is insane, full of great pictures, hard copy books, and a great trip down memory lane to go through that and see some of the great Boks and some of the great moments. So absolutely fabulous. I highly recommend people going out and getting a copy. Beautiful.
Yeah, and we have 3 copies that Gringo has sent us. He sent them to Zels. And we said, give us your favorite Bok memory. Put it in the comments. And some of you did. We don't know how to contact you, so you're going to have to contact us. So you're going to have to send me an email, keo@keo.co.za. That's keo@keo.co.za. It's Alan Grove 2642, Fabian Cape Town, CPT 8278, and Renier Olofse 1631. If you're out there,
Congratulations.
nommer 1 na nommer 2. Jy is nommer 1 na nommer 2. Contact us and we will have the books couriered to you, courtesy of Mike Greenway, courtesy of us, Keo and Zels, on the Keo and Zels Show and SA Rugby Magazine. Wonderful, wonderful gifts. And we're talking gifts as well. Avant Brandy. This is your last chance. Get in there. Butch James has made the prediction. 1 on me. He's made it so easy. Boks to score 2 tries or more. And then whatever you buy, the Avant boys will give you one on the co-founding members, Butchie being one of them. And we know we have a winner in Durban for Friday night with the Avant competition with us. Use the Keo Zels code, guys. Use the Keo Zels code. Zels needs the cash. So do I. And you can be a winner, man. It's gonna be such a lacquer weekend of rugby. After last weekend where we just gave everything to the Griquas and to Kimberley. We gave them their place on the rugby calendar, unfortunately at the expense of the Lions. But the Lions are in action because it's Vodacom United Rugby Championship time. It's the Stormers at home against Leinster. It's the Bulls, Akkers, at home against the Ospreys. The Sharks travel to Glasgow. And apparently in Cardiff, the Lions will be playing a club that still exists.
I've never heard a shark neigh.
So, Stormers to win. Just emphatically, my point. I don't care if it's 1 point or 20. I want the Stormers to win. They'll be playing in their nice new kit, the blue and white hoops, even though they're a bit thicker. The stripes are back. I'll be at the game. Gil and I are going, courtesy of invites from the big dogs, the big bosses. I'll be wearing my Stormers jersey proudly. the new one with all the strappings and the trappings. And then on Saturday, I'll put on my Bulls one.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Oak Saturday, I never put on a Sharks one.
We've noticed that, mate. What is that about?
Come on, guys. You want me to change that?
You know where to send the jerseys.
Yes. A point of no return. But you're a Sharks man. I mean, you love the Sharks.
Yeah. Sharks, great squad. Grew up in Derbs. Obviously, loved the OGs. Is sort of my vintage. I love the Andre Bear Sharks. Absolutely fabulous team. Mark Andrews, and so yeah, special place in the heart. Obviously, being in and around that stadium. Great squad. Hard to start the season for them in Glasgow. I mean, that's a hell of a way to start the year. And also with a bunch of their Boks missing and a bunch of players who are injured or unavailable. So. Tough start for the Sharks. Hope they can pull it out. My money wouldn't necessarily be on them, but obviously anytime a South African team's playing, I'm rooting for them.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thanks for that controversial. Wow. So it's 4 from 4, Paul. Huh?
Yeah. No, I don't think the Sharks will beat Glasgow, but I am pulling for them. I think Glasgow, obviously a team with great pedigree and a particular unique challenge that they offer. They play quite a unique brand of rugby and a difficult place to go and win. So,
when did you become so diplomatic?
I am very diplomatic.
Soon you're going to tell me you love Tony Brown as well.
He's a great guy. Good player in his day, mate.
Okay, so you have the Stormers to win.
You know what I remember with Tony Brown is that beautiful Adidas luminous yellow ball they used to play with back in the day. That was a great time in rugby, mate.
Those blonde locks.
Blonde locks, mate.
In the black jersey, playing at 10.
Yeah.
And Carter wanted the odd day off.
And you know, Carlos always looked like cool on the ball. Like he didn't really need to be at the game. He could be somewhere else. He had other things. Like Tony was like a real trier. Like you could see the effort in the way that he played. And a great,
quite natural, Tony.
Great. No, I'm not saying he wasn't natural. I'm just saying you could see he was 100% in the moment, you know?
He's a thinky man's 10.
He was a thinky man's 10. Exactly. Great goal kicker and, yeah.
Yo, have you sent him a Christmas card
Of
yet?
course I have, mate.
Hey?
Of course I have.
Let's turn around now.
What are you talking about?
Have you had a visit?
From the UFO.
Have you had a visit from the doctor? Tony Brown, we love him. We love the fact that the world loves him. And say that he's evolved our game. Even Matt Williams says, now this is how South Africa should play.
Who?
Exactly. I didn't know who Matt Williams was. I had to go look up. Guy who won, I think, 3 tests out of 17 for Scotland.
Oh.
A guy who coached Scotland to 3 wins in 17. I think the worst performing ever coach. And then for his good grace, he went to Leinster and won a title because everyone who goes to Leinster wins a title. Matt Williams. He says, thank goodness 7-1 is gone. I don't know so much, Matt. Don't be surprised to see a 7-1 split before the end of the year.
For the end of the week, mate.
Yeah. So, yeah, I've got the Bulls to win well, even though they're without 14 players, including those involved in test duty.
Yeah, I agree.
I do have the Lions to be competitive. I don't know if they'll get the win in Cardiff, but they'll be competitive. They could be within 1 score, and Griquas will be saying, that's why we should be in the URC. And I've got the Sharks to...
Oh, you have to think about it, Alpha. Sow the seed of doubt.
I've got the Sharks to win.
No, you don't.
I do.
Really?
It pains me to say it.
Wow. Why does it pay you? It's glorious if they beat Glasgow.
It pains me to say it.
Oh.
Pains me to say it because it means they've got to have 4 log points. When it comes to the South African Conference.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't pay me to say it. Sharks will win. You know what? I'm actually going to go for 4 South African wins.
But you ripped me off for saying
Exactly. I'm going to go for 4 South African wins because if I can't go for 4 in the opening round, when can I go for 4?
Great logic, mate.